Yeah, so today we'll be talking about the most energetic stellar explosions known so far, that is gamma ray bursts. They are known as gamma ray bursts because they were first observed in gamma rays from different spaceborne satellites, and for a very long time, most of their properties were just known in gamma rays. So the name comes out as gamma rays burst because they are very bright in gamma rays, and they're the stellar class explosions. In today's talk, we will be talking various properties of these stellar explosions, and my talk is divided in three parts. In first part, we will be talking about the history of gamma ray bursts, that how the field evolved and what are the properties, basic properties of these explosions. In second part of the talk, we will be talking that how we can understand this energetic explosion phenomena, gamma ray burst, in terms of shock waves and so on. In third part of my talk, I'll be discussing that what are the possible progenitors which are responsible to liberate huge amount of energy which are coming out from gamma ray bursts. Because they are observed at very far away distances, we don't have any direct clue about what the progenitors are and how do they look like. But the indirect scientific evidences tell a lot of things about the possible progenitors. And since they are very energetic and they are observed at very far away distances, these can be also used to understand the cosmological aspects of the evolution of the universe and how the universe is evolved and how far such sources exist in our universe and so on. Coming back to the first part of my talk, which is the history. The history of gamma ray burst discovery is very much interesting. The history goes back to 1967 when the US launched various set of satellites, and among those satellites the important one was called Vela 4A and 4B, which was actually launched to enforce the nuclear test ban treaty. US, these satellites wanted to understand and wanted to explore if there is any Earth-based atomic explosion, and that's why they wanted to discover some gamma rays to pinpoint that which country is doing atomic explosions and so on. But it turned out differently. None of the gamma rays were coming from Earth, but they all were coming from different celestial sources. And since then, it was very a different story, and people and scientists were unable to understand that why these sources are actually gamma rays are coming from space. And from 67, people were trying to understand, and later, back in 73, Glasdell published the first paper discovering about these celestial gamma ray sources, that they exist, and gamma rays are actually coming from different celestial sources, and that's how this field became in public domain, and it was discovered that yes, there are some celestial sources which are liberating huge amount of energy that is in gamma rays. After that, we have discovered some more than thousands of gamma ray bursts in different places of sky, and starting from Compton Gamma Ray Observatory, which was launched in 1991, and many other space missions, we have discovered many gamma ray bursts, and what we understood is that they are really isotropically distributed throughout the universe. And another thing which most importantly is discovered is that they are really cosmological, because they exist at cosmological distances. So these two evidences have been ruled out their galactic origin, and now we know that these sources are very much extragalactic and very much isotropically distributed. Next slide, please. And here is an example of the light curves and the spectral energy distribution of different GRBs. In the first figure, as you can see, that this light curve nature is very much chaotic in nature. Light curve is basically the distribution of flux with time. So as you can see that these gamma ray bursts, they last for a few tenths of seconds, and they have a spiky nature, and spikes are as short as milliseconds, of the order of milliseconds, and that's where some clue is coming from that these sources are really moving relativistically Otherwise, these spiky nature cannot be obtained. Coming to the spectral energy distribution, as you can see that the spectral energy distributions are non-thermal in nature, that is, they don't follow the thermal black body radiation, and they are non-thermal and they peak at a certain energy called EP, and they are connected like in a fashion of broken power law model, usually explained in form of Planck's function. So these are the basic nature. They tell this kind of property. They tell a lot about the physics, underlying physics of these energetic sources. Next step.